Okay, well, happy Tuesday morning to you all. It is February the 9th, and I'm headed out for a work commute this morning. And a motorcyclist assist call. my workmate, he got his new Duke 890, and he was out riding it a couple days ago, and the clutch gave out, or locked up, or wouldn't disengage. I don't know what the story is. Basically, he could shift it as long as he's moving, but get down to a stop, and you can't shift it up or down. So that tells me that the clutch is dragging. Maybe it's got a plate stuck. Who knows? Anyway, so I'm going to go over and help him take a look at that this morning after my breakfast meet. And he's probably going to have to take it back over there to Wild West to get that problem checked out, because it could be a defective plate or clutch pack or basket, or who knows. Not really sure. I refrain to make any judgments at this point until we have more info. But the bike has got less than 150, 200 miles on it, and it's already got a clutch problem. It was fine, and then he said he was riding along on the highway and couldn't shift. So that tells me either it was slipping and overheated the clutch pack, or something in the basket got bound up, and one or more of the plates is sticking. So we'll see. Shouldn't have to adjust the clutch that often, that quickly, after just 200 miles. So anyway, the weather this morning, you can tell, is quite gray and dismal. It's supposed to be like this most of the day. We're going to have rain this afternoon is the forecast, somewhere around 3, 4 o'clock. So I'm going to try to do my chores and get back home before then, so I don't have to deal with rush hour traffic in the rain, but we'll see how it plays out. And right now we've got a dense fog advisory. About 15 to 20 minutes ago, it was much thicker than this. You couldn't see those cars over there. It was down to about a block visibility. But right now it's not too bad. We'll see how it is when I get up on the highway. Taking it nice and easy on the roads this morning, because they are slimy. It's not really rainy, wet where it's washed everything off. They're just kind of drizzly. Get that dirt and oily layer that gets released and just sits there on top, not washed away. The tires I've got on this bike, I have to link them. I think they're the Dunlop Q3s. I can't recall what I've got on here. No, they're the T30 Evos. That's what I have. They do surprisingly well in the wet. They're not as good as my Michelin Pilot Road 4s and 5s that I have on other bikes, but these do okay. These are a little more sporty oriented tire, a little less on the touring side of things. So I think they've got less silica blend in them. I feel them squirm a little bit occasionally on wet pavement, but they're not really slippery. I don't think I've ever felt the Pilots slip and slide around on me. They do so well. Of course, I'm not a 9/10 rider, just hanging it out at the ragged edge. I think the most I've felt out of the Pilots I've got them on my FC6R, and I've taken it through some pretty hot, fast corners, leaning it way, way over. Dry pavement, of course, but I can feel them squirm and just barely start to give away, but they're very, very predictable. So it's always tricky when you've got sport tires on a sport bike, and they've got great traction right up to the limit, and then they just suddenly let go. And not a lot of warning. They're grippy as long as that grip lasts, and then you hit a bump or something and there's nothing there. Whoopsie. Temperature's pretty nice this morning. I think it's 64, 65, something like that. It's not cold, not really nippy. It's wet and moist out here though, so I feel it in my legs, just the jeans on. Feels pretty good though. I actually like riding in weather like this. I just don't like doing it in town with all the crazy cagers. This is great back road touring weather in my opinion. Overcast sky so you don't get too hot. Air temp is nice, not pissing rain. So my plan for this morning is I'll go over to the breakfast place, have my meet up with a couple of the guys and discuss some jobs that we have pending. After that, I'm going to head over to my buddy's place and help him take a look at that clutch and figure out what the deal is, because you know, as long as you've got about 1/16 of an inch of play at the lever and the lever's all the way out, then you should have full disengagement of the clutch. He's saying that's not working. He said he dialed it all the way out and it's still dragging, so that doesn't seem right. Almost sounds like the either the cable has stretched or the little ferrule at the end of the cable that hooks up to the cam arm on the end of the clutch actuator. That might have come loose or shifted or is just in a weird position where it's not pulling all the way in on the clutch like it should. Yeah, it's pretty humid out here this morning. My visor's all fogged up. I took my pin lock insert out of here because something, I don't know if it's my shield alignment on the helmet or what, but it created a gap and it was no longer sitting flush against the inner part of the face shield, and it was rattling at speed and with wind load and stuff on it, and it was actually scuffing the inside of my face shield. I thought that was annoying. So I pulled it out of there. These little pin lock inserts for the shoe bursts are not cheap either. They're expensive. If you're going, dude, go. You're not going? Okay, then I'm going. Yeah, the face shields themselves are 85, 90 bucks, and then the pin locks are, hell, I think they're 65. It's expensive, man. When they don't perform the way they're supposed to, it annoys me. I need to shop for another helmet because my Aprilia RS660 should be here any day now, and I need a helmet that works in the 2/3 to 3/4 tuck position. This one doesn't quite do it. It's got too much binding up in the back of the neck. It's just the cut of the back of the helmet, and the viewport up here doesn't give enough relief when you're down in the full tuck or 3/4 tuck. So you're looking at the top edge of the viewport and it's crunched up in the back of your neck. So I gotta find a different helmet. I might get an Arai or a Shoei, I'm not sure. I still like modulars, so look at the Shoei modular, the Neotech or something like that. I had a couple of the early modular helmets, you know, first couple of generations that the manufacturers were coming out with, HJC and some of the others, and they were okay. I had a Scorpion that was pretty good, but they were always noisy and a little bit heavy. So when this Schuberth C3 came out, I was like, oh yeah, baby. It's reasonably light. I think it's 3 pounds, 10 ounces or something like that. But it's very quiet. It seals up well, at least when it's new. Mine is starting to get a little bit drafty. It's 4 years old now. But yeah, now that I've been riding with the modulars, God, I'm spoiled on them. It's so nice to be able to flip it open when you got to sneeze or take a drink or hack a loogie or just anything, you know. Just it's so much easier to live with on a daily basis. And when you spend a lot of time on a bike and in a helmet like I do, those little creature comforts make a huge difference. Just the overall comfort factor and usability and everything just really raises the bar. So when I go back down to my other full face non-modular helmets, they just feel so claustrophobic. I'm not a claustrophobic person, but you got to take it off to do anything, you know, sneeze, paint the inside of your visor. Makes a difference. Why people say that the CB500 series doesn't have enough power for the highway and whatnot. That was a top gear roll-on right there. No muss, no fuss. Went from 75 to 95. Just boink, done. I guess if you're a heavier rider, maybe they don't have quite enough pull, but you know, 5'7", 160 pounds, 170 fully loaded for riding. So, I don't know. Maybe for heavier riders, it's a little on the anemic side. You know, 50 horsepower and whatever it is, 35, 40 pound-feet of torque, it does okay. I think it's 30 pound-feet of torque. I don't know. All the horsepower and torque numbers on bikes, people get so hung up on that. You know, how much power does it make? How fast is it? What's the top speed? Blah, blah. A lot of those numbers really don't give a good indication of how rideable a bike is in day-to-day living, you know, with squirting around in traffic like this, you know, just normal everyday chores. You're not always going GP speeds, you know. You gotta go with the flow and be able to get around where you need to. That's part of that discussion with the Aprilia RS660 that seems to be quite the debate right now, where everyone's saying, oh, it's the next greatest middleweight bike and it's going to be great for this, great for that, and then you got the detractors on the other side saying, you know, pass on it because a ZX6R will kick its butt in top speed. Well, okay, yeah, you're talking about maybe 10 miles an hour on the top end, but where do you need to go 140 miles an hour, 145 miles an hour? Where you need the usable power is down in the, is this guy moving? Where you need the usable power is down in the mid-range, where it's actually useful. And I think that's what that RS660 motor is going to have, is really good mid-range roll-on. And from everybody that's test ridden it so far, they say it's just so usable. The only potential issue that I might have with it that might annoy me a little bit, that everyone seems to come to a consensus on, is it's vibey. You know, your hands really get to tingling after you've been riding it a bit. So for touring use, that might be annoying, but the gloves that I typically wear, like these Olympia Digital Protector, I think is what they're called, they've got padded palms, gel padded palms, and it really does cut down the vibes on the bars. And if you keep a light touch on the bars and you're not gripping the hell out of the grips, then you're not transferring that vibration into your hands as much. So the gloves and that insulated layer can do its job. A lot of people, a lot of riders don't realize that they're white knuckling the bars, that they're death gripping everything. And when you do that, it's a really bad habit and it's a bad riding practice, because you're inferring, you know, motion on the bike. You're forcing the bars and making it do something that it really shouldn't do. Same thing with locking your elbows or locking your shoulders and riding, you know, rigid. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to stay slightly bent forward, bent elbows, relaxed shoulders, relaxed wrists, and then you've got finer control of the machine. And more importantly, when you hit bumps or whenever your body weight is shifted around on the bike, you don't accidentally bias the bike to do something that you didn't intend. It's clogged up here this morning, ain't it? I think I'll skip all this. Yeah, I ain't getting in that. Screw that. I'm going all the way down, come back around. Oh, yeah, that's a mess. Adaptive riding. Just think outside the box, go around the problem. Sitting in that in morning rush hour, wet pavement, bad idea. Invariably someone is going to make an unexpected lane change, nail the brakes, fail to slow down in time, and the rider's going to get nervous. I can just go down a couple miles per hour and come back. I don't have to do it. What are you doing? I had this silly bar almost hit me one day. It was up, and right as I started rolling toward it, it came down and didn't detect the bike. Narrowly dodged it. Would have sucked. Hit me in the head, pulled me right off the bike. Looked like an idiot. It wouldn't have been my fault. Ooh, the stripes are slippery. Felt it slip on the first one. Straightened up a little bit for that second patch. Slipped on that one too. You guys probably aren't looking at much. I forgot to clean my lens a few times on the ride here. It's wet. I always watch my mirrors at these lights, especially when the pavement's wet. Some yahoo flying up and trying to brake at the last second. I can't. A little trick right there is save my bacon more times than I can count. Another thing I do is I pulse my brakes as cars are coming up behind me while I'm stopped, so they get that extra little visual cue. Yes, there's something else sitting there besides a car in front of me. Slip on that one. Water in the eyeballs. Well, I didn't put my rain pants on, and my legs are quite wet. They are not soaked and dripping, but they are soaked. So my wife said that she liked the way she looked on this bike. I made comments in the video I posted the other day. This is what I taught Josh how to ride on. What? Why are you scared? She's not going anywhere. She doesn't have shoes on. She can't ride without shoes. Today, I told her she was going to be famous. I was putting her in my video as the thumbnail image and all that. And she looked at it and she went, "I look good on a motorcycle." I was like, yeah, well, you look good on anything, but if I could get you to ride, that'd be great. But at the same time, you know, I've mentioned this before. I don't encourage everybody to ride. You've got to have the right mentality. So she would need to really learn to ride because she's never ridden much, and definitely not in busy cities like this. She rode an enduro bike in Brazil when she lived there. She learned how to ride, and she's got a little bit of experience, but not enough to deal with the crazy traffic we have here. But yeah, anyway, she has a passing interest in learning to ride this bike. She thinks it's approachable. You know, the size is about right for her. I don't have it lowered or anything, but I could probably drop the front, you know, half inch. I could rotate the triangle plates on the rear shock linkage to drop it down a little, but it sits really low anyway. I mean, this thing is, I'm a shorty and I can almost flat foot this thing on both sides. I've got a 29 or 30 inch inseam and I can really reach ground quite easily on it. My normal stance at a light is this, you know, right foot on the brake and left foot on the ground, in gear, ready to go. And right here I'm fully flat-footed with a bent knee on the left side, so this bike is pretty approachable. And the motor has got enough torque that you don't even have to use throttle, like right there. If you want to creep it along or get rolling, you just, you know, ride the clutch a little bit and the idle control will pull the motor up and you just trundle along with no throttle at all. So it's real easy to learn to ride. I taught my son how to ride a street bike on this bike right here. We just went over to a church parking lot, big open lot near us, and I taught him how to, you know, feel the engagement point, work on balance and stops and low speed maneuvers and stuff like that. And then I transitioned him up to quick stops, emergency stops, and feeling where the lockup point on the tire is, you know, all at low speed. But, you know, go ahead and grab a handful of that brake and try to lock it. And if it locks or washes out or whatever, let go of the brake real fast and get back into it to regain traction. This is not an ABS bike. So, you know, but yeah, I worked him up, and, you know, it was really just the span of about 5 or 6 hours of pretty intensive training over in that church parking lot, doing figure eights and low speed maneuvers, and then, you know, working up through the gears, learning how to shift smooth, rev match, all that. And I was just following next to him most of the time on one of the scooters, kind of showing him the ropes. And then we'd trade off every now and then, and he would ride the scooter next to me, and I would show him what I'm doing. You know, we've got Bluetooth comms, so we're talking back and forth. So he's got a rolling instructor. It worked out well. He did really well. Never had a problem, except for going too fast. He's definitely got that. That's a youth thing. I know. I was there. I did it. Okay then, I've arrived. It's breakfast time. I'm gonna eat. I'm hungry, and then it's off to get some work done. So I will catch you all just a little bit. Okay, well, breakfast is done. It's about 10, and as you can tell, weather conditions haven't changed much at all. It's still very foggy, very misty, and very wet. Not an ideal day for riding motorcycles, but hey, you know, I do it anyway. I did not bring my rain pants today, so I'm going to be soggy legging it. I have a rain show. Oh, this is going to be a problem, isn't it? I'm trying out this new jacket. It's what the hell is it? Fly Racing, something that I got just recently. Nice jacket, mesh, but I've got competing Velcros from the glove to this, and it's going to annoy me over time, I'm sure. Okay, let's get on the road. I've got 3 calls waiting on me. It's a nice car. I could barely read that. M2, I guess. I thought the M2 was a little narrower than that. I really do want the M2 competition. Did they redo the rear end of that thing? It looks different than what I remember when I looked at it a couple years ago. That is definitely the M2. Huh, I like it. Considering trading in my Accord. I like the Accord, but I find that I'm just not riding it or driving it that much. If I'm going to have something that I'm driving very infrequently, it might as well be a performance car, a fun car. Oh, I'm going to do that. I don't want to get one new, though. I never buy sports cars or luxury cars new. The depreciation is just ridiculous. They're going to drop like a rock in the first 2 to 3 years. So I'd rather get one that's about 2 years old, pre-owned, certified pre-owned, you know, so it has factory warranty, all that, and let someone else take that big depreciation hit. This is going to be slimy. Oh man, that is a good looking car. Oh, she's going to signal on. I still haven't pulled this signal housing apart to clean out the contacts. I need to do that on 3 of my Hondas now. I guess the brown goo that they put in there, or whatever the grease is that they use, over a few years, it just starts getting kind of crusty. I tried putting dielectric grease in one and it seemed to work okay at first, but then within just a few months it got all crunchy again. So I guess I need to go digging around and find a good grease, whatever is supposed to be in there from the factory, or maybe a good replacement that doesn't get too thick over short periods of time. And of course it's got to be electrically conductive, so that's why I thought, yeah, dielectric ought to work. You use that for bulbs and everything else. The reflectors are always real slippery too. All right, well, I'll go ahead and shut the vlog down now before I arrive at my next stop, and catch up with you all in a little bit. Okay, so here's my buddy's brand new Duke 890. It's got a whopping, where do we see the odometer? 187 miles. 187 miles on it, still brand new. Neat machine, but he was out riding the other day, and look at this nonsense. Wonky, 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 wonky. Look at all that slack. And he had to adjust this perch out all the way, the threaded adjuster, and it's still got that much slack in it. If we look over here at the amount of play that's still in the cam arm, that means something in that clutch has given up. There's a bearing in there, or part of the push rod. Something has gone really bad, because the ferrule has not slipped. That's in place where it should be. I don't know if you guys are able to see this on camera, but you know, that's definitely in the slot. The cable couldn't have stretched or frayed this much. That's way too much.
I tried to adjust it while I was at the parking lot.
Right, and you know, obviously there's the adjuster down here, and it looks like it's backed out pretty far as well. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna have an appointment to take it back over to Wild West and have them dig into it, but I can almost guarantee you, dollars to donuts, there's something broken in that that clutch pack, because the slack starts, or the tension I should say, starts right here, and that's all the engagement he's got in order to shift and disengage the clutch. That's messed up. He said he backed this all the way out to where it was pretty much falling out of the perch. So that's no bueno, man. Brand new bike. Hopefully it's just a little fluke or something, not really a broken part that requires a lot of downtime for the bike. We shall see. Okay, well, I just stopped over at my buddy's place, and we looked at that clutch issue, and man, that's definitely something broken in the transmission, or not transmission, but at least the clutch mechanism. Something has gone sideways in there. There's no way it should have that much slack, and it slacked itself out all by itself and rather instantly. He said, you know, while he was riding along, he couldn't shift gears anymore because the clutch stayed engaged. And with as much play is in that thing right now. It's pretty obvious that something in the transmission has, or clutch I should say, has gone sideways. So he's gonna take it over to Wild West and have them dig into it. I'm sure it's going to be a warranty claim of some kind with KTM. Hopefully it's something simple and not full teardown. And hopefully whatever gave up in there didn't hand grenade and do any other damage inside the transmission, the lower end down there. If it's broken metal pieces, then you never know. So anyway, we'll find out. I'll post an update on that for anybody that's interested in the Duke 890 saga. We'll probably wait until Thursday. We're supposed to have 2 pretty rainy days here in Houston, today and tomorrow. So we'll wait until Thursday, and we'll load it up in the back of the truck and take it over there to Wild West and have them start working on it. And this is Valentine's weekend, so he wasn't anticipating riding this weekend anyway. I will be. I've got to take the Ryker up to James and have the realignment done on it. Anywho, so yeah, unfortunately this weekend is supposed to be cold, wet, nasty here in Houston. We're looking at lows down in the low 30s. In fact, I saw the forecast. Didn't pay attention to whether it was Friday night going into Saturday or Saturday night going into Sunday, but the low is supposed to be 30, so we're actually going to be getting down to freezing again, which is very rare for us in February. We're going to have some rainy, crappy weather, and unfortunately I will be riding in it Saturday morning because I need to get up there to spring. I don't know. I might be a weenie and trailer my Ryker over there. We'll see. I could always hook up my trailer and roll the Ryker up on there. Ooh, whoa, whoa, what you doing there, fella? Hey, I'm here already. How's that? Right where I left it several days ago. It's amazing how that works. Okay, I'm going to go inside, get some work done, return a couple of calls that have been waiting on me now for an hour and a half, and I'll rejoin you all later.